I guess there's nothing else to say. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Sit over here. Hi, as he said, I'm Avery, and before I start, I just wanted to say thank you for the award. I really appreciate it. So then I'm going to get started. This is, I call it a knock lock. It's a secret knock detecting lock. It can respond to any certain knock pattern that you want, and it can unlock and lock the door, and it will reject all incorrect knock patterns, and it's also reprogrammable to different knock patterns with a momentary push button on the breadboard right there. So how it works is I do have a piezo sensor. I hot glued it to the mini door to pick up the knock patterns. And I have my circuit board on a breadboard, and I'm also using an Arduino Uno microcontroller. When I was building it, I had some problems with the coding. I had never coded anything before in my life. So I actually purchased an Arduino starter kit offline and did the first 5 projects in the Arduino Beginner's Guidebook to try to catch up on a lot of basic coding skills. And then my grandfather actually helped a lot with the coding part when I was getting stuck. So I actually found this project idea off of YouTube. I saw a video of a guy who had made a different version of the knock lock, and I decided that would be a really cool idea to do for my science project this year. So I decided that that was what I was going to do, and I ran into also troubles with the servo motor. This is actually the second servo motor that I've used to turn the lock because they're cheap servo motors and they keep wearing through the, from turning back and forth the lock, it keeps wearing through the motor so that they're actually not working. And this was actually on its last leg at the state science fair when I was demonstrating for the judges. So I'm not sure if it's going to fully work. So I have LEDs on the breadboard, and the green LED will flash every time that you knock, and the red LED will flash when you knock the incorrect knock pattern, and the green LED will also flash when you knock the correct pattern. So right now it's coded to shave and a haircut. It's picked up an extra knock. And then it turns. And so to reprogram it, I'm actually going to have to set the mic down, but I will push the momentary push button and hold it down, and then I'll knock my new knock, and the LEDs will repeat the knock that I just knocked for me. So they're repeating the knock, and then now when I knock that new knock, it will respond to that knock. I think that I pretty much... Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
How is it powered?
I actually have a 9-volt battery that I zip tied right onto the PVC frame, and I just hooked that up. My grandpa helped me soldered it to the Arduino Uno microcontroller.
That's doing the Arduino and the lock?
Yep. Any more? Yep.
When's it going to be on the market?
Soon, I hope.
When you're drunk, you can't get those things right.
Yes?
If you want a little stronger servo, which you might want to consider is using a servo from an RC type aircraft.
Okay, yeah.
They're very durable. Take it from one of those.
Yes?
What grade are you in?
I'm in 8th grade. Thank you. Yes?
Do you plan to do anything with this project yet next year, add anything to it, or have you thought about it?
I definitely would, but I'm not exactly sure. It's very hard to do continuation projects at the Science and Engineering Fair when you're in the engineering category. I would have to make a ton of improvements on it, but I might. It's always a possibility.
What's the PVC supposed to, what's it there for?
So the PVC is just there to support the servo motor onto the lock. I have all of the whole circuit board actually secured onto the mini door. This is only there for the servo motor.
Can you explain the process on how you designed and built it? I see you've got a number of pictures up on the board. Can you just kind of like walk us through the steps that you took?
Mm-hmm. So actually in the video that I saw on YouTube, he had a similar PVC design that was supporting the lock. He actually used suction cups to put it on the door, and I decided that was definitely not going to work. I didn't even try it. So when I saw that, he actually used perf board and soldered everything onto his circuit board, and I wanted to use breadboard so that I could make mistakes and not have to start all over again. So then when I started designing, I had to choose a certain size of PVC that I was going to use and make sure that all the measurements weren't too big to be on the board. So I first created my circuit board without the mini door at all and make sure that my code was right. And then I had to do a bunch of measurements to make sure that the servo motor was going to be not too high and not too low on the door. So we did a bunch of measurements and had to go back and saw and shave down some PVC to make sure that the servo motor was right. And then when I was doing my measurements, we used PVC cups or caps to secure with screws to secure the PVC frame onto the board. And then after the frame was built, I took screws and screwed the plastic stand that the breadboard and the Arduino are on and screwed it onto the door itself. And then I hot glued the piezo sensor onto the door for better vibration sensing. And then I just zip tied the 9-volt battery onto the back of the PVC frame.
How many knocks can you accommodate with your program?
So obviously it only has one knock at a time that it registers to. And the knock patterns is it's a limit of 20 knocks, but you can program it over and over again to as many different knocks as you would like. Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about the software and how you developed that on the Arduino development environment?
Mm-hmm. So on the video, the guy actually had a website where I went and he had all of his code that he used and notes in the code of what every line was doing. So my grandpa and we looked at that a lot and studied it, and we downloaded his Arduino, his program and code into my Arduino program software, and then he was actually using a gear motor, so we took out everything for the gear motor and we put in new constants and variables for the servo motor, and then we also put in a new else if statement into the code to make sure that the lock would be able to unlock and lock. His lock, in his code, he only had it to where the door could unlock. He couldn't lock it back, and I wanted it to be able to lock and unlock. So we added a new else if statement in there. And because of it being really advanced code for a person who had never done coding before, I was trying to learn all the stuff as possible that I could. But, I couldn't type the whole thing. Yes?
Now that you've done the project and it's completed, is there anything that you would have done differently to create the project from now that it's finished?
So I definitely would have used a more powerful and a bigger servo motor. I would have used perf board and soldered my circuit onto that, and I would have tried to downscale some of the PVC so that the lock isn't as big. And then I would have also tried to put some of the wires and intertwine them into the PVC so that it's not as a big of a thing on the door and less noticeable. Yes?
Since you're doing both unlocking and locking, are you maintaining state? So does your software understand if somebody locked it without going through your knock process to make sure that the lock stays in sync?
No, I don't think so. No. Yes, you in the back?
You're able to get some help from family and such. For other students in the school wanting to enter the science fair, what kind of resources were available to them through the school or the fair?
Through the school, there's kind of our science research teacher helps us with the general paperwork to get our applications submitted for the fair and get our projects approved before the fair. And really, once you're on this stuff, our research teacher doesn't specifically know. She's a science teacher. She's not really into the coding or the engineering part of it, but she's helped us. Quite a few kids in my class have emailed professors and different clubs to get help on their projects. Yes?
Now that you've got your feet wet with Arduino, have you given any thought to anything else that you might be able to do with an Arduino?
My grandpa actually had an idea for my next science fair project, and it's a device that could take Morse code and automatically turn it into just regular text and not.
Would you work on that real quick?
And you're gonna need it with the knocking, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I didn't hear you say on this, I just wondered if you had considered it. But it seems like what you've built would be a great solution for somebody who's physically challenged. And those things get a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm. That was actually a main point that I used in my speech on the state science fair and my regional science fair is, to why I built this project and what problems it was going to solve. And I actually do have a couple friends with disabilities that, they're not able to unlock and lock doors.
Till now.
If you choose to take the project further and enhance it, some possibilities are RFID tags, the little tags, and put a reader on there. That would be very easy to implement. Also, just a magnetic sensor that if you have a magnet like on a ring, you could just touch that to it, and it would unlock, like a secret ring.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
There's a number of different things you could do with that.
Magic decoder ring.
Right?
Anything else?
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
See you go, you hit the ball out of the ballpark. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is our firm presentation tonight. Now, we originally